Can I continue teaching yoga throughout pregnancy? That's a question that I asked myself, I guess, right away when I found out I was pregnant back in February. I asked myself whether or not I'd be able to teach throughout my entire pregnancy. I assumed that at the beginning it'd be easy, and then at the end it would be a lot harder because of the growing belly. I'm now about 6 months along, and I have done plenty of research and looking into different prenatal yoga topics, as well as if I should continue teaching as a pregnant yoga teacher. For me, that answer is yes, most definitely, but there are a few things that go along with that territory, and each person is going to be very different. So I have actually known several yoga teachers who have had babies and who have taught up until pretty much the day they gave birth. Okay, maybe not that quite that far, but almost that far. And I do have a couple tips or a couple things to think about if you are pregnant or planning to get pregnant and continue with your yoga teaching. First thing is that each trimester is going to be very different. So the truth is, the first trimester is going to be typically the hardest. Not because of your belly or any growth in here, your body is fine, but the morning sickness, your body's getting used to being pregnant, it is tough, it's rough, you just do not feel good. So the first trimester was actually a lot more challenging. Second trimester is like the greatest, where almost feeling normal, I am super energetic, and this is like the honeymoon phase of pregnancy is second trimester. I'm almost done with second trimester, but so far everything's been really great. So I'm learning to honor my body and learning to work with the fluctuations, and I'm feeling awesome little kicks and stuff, which is so fun. And then also taking tips from prenatal yoga classes and movement cues in my own body. I'm doing what's comfortable for me. So there's no one size fits all. Everyone's going to be a little bit different. And then third trimester, which I haven't gotten to yet, I just assume that getting bigger, gaining more weight is going to be just a little more challenging to move. So of course I'll be slowing down. So these are your 3 tips for teaching yoga while pregnant. Number 1, use more verbal cues. So less demoing poses. If you teach a bunch of classes already and you have a good group of regulars, you can use an experienced student in class to do the demos for you, or you can verbally cue through these things. So if you're finding that doing some of the poses, especially poses that then include deeper twists or back bends that are harder for you to do at this time, cue through them, get off of your mat, walk around, make simple adjustments so we're not lifting body weight or anything, and really take it at your own pace, but make sure that we're using many more verbal cues and demoing a lot less. Number 2 is to be aware of your breath. As your belly starts to grow, as your baby starts to grow, especially trimester 2, we start to get a shortness of breath. So slow down your breathing and your talking. So if you're trying to verbally cue people through classes and you're trying to rush through things or say too much or walk around and do too many things, it can really cause this shortness of breath. It sounds like you're out of breath even though you regularly would be fine, but you will find it harder to breathe. Breathing practices are still amazing through pregnancy, so still continue with pranayama practice. Just avoid holding your breath. Don't want to restrict any blood flow or oxygen. So continuing with breathing techniques and your practice with meditation and pranayama, still amazing. Actually, very much recommended because they're a little easier than, let's say, the movement or the asana practice. If you're teaching hot yoga, this is a little bonus tip for you. You have to do what's comfortable for you. So you could technically teach hot yoga comfortably as long as you're not doing as much. For me, teaching hot yoga has been fine, just because I am kind of a cold-blooded person. I feel like I don't sweat that easily or overheat very easily. So I'm able to take as many breaks as I need, just walk around or sit down while I'm teaching. So hot yoga hasn't been an issue except in that first trimester when it was making me nauseous. And then the last tip is just to slow down. If you are teaching 12 to 15 or more classes a week, this might be a great time in your life to dial that back. Maybe it's 5 to 7 classes instead of, or cutting in half instead of going with so many, instead of adding more. Bring it back down to just a few classes a week if you're able to, if that's in your budget to allow to teach less classes. But not just that, slowing down also means slowing down movements. So allowing your students, as you teach, more time to get into the poses so that you're able to explain it more. This time of your life is going to make you such a better communicator and yoga teacher all around, and it's a very exciting time. So don't think that you really have to limit yourself. Think of this as an advantage, that you get to slow down your practice, you get to slow down with your students, teach them more, talk to them more communication, and really learn about how your body is working in the process of this beautiful life that you're forming. So this is very exciting, and I'm very excited for you if you are pregnant and still wanting to continue to teach yoga. Of course, ask your doctor, check in, make sure everything's fine. If you're high risk, do what you have to do. But if you are feeling good and your yoga practice has continued, I've been practicing on my yoga mat every day at home throughout pregnancy, and it's been so helpful. And to making my body feel better and making me energized. And teaching is something that I love so much that for me it's something that I don't want to give up. If you are someone who it's not bringing you joy anymore, or you really want to slow down and focus on you and the health of your baby and all of that, and teaching is something that you are just not really into, it's okay to take a break. It's okay to say, you know what, right now is not the time. That's fine. But for me, like if you're someone who loves teaching, it's very energizing, you need that in your life, you should continue. It's something that brings you joy. All right, those were a few tips and a little bit of talking on teaching yoga while pregnant. I actually have a helpful yoga sequencing and cueing guide that you can get at ashesyoga.com. That's actually going to help you maybe get off of your mat a little bit more, especially if you teach a vinyasa flow class, to help you to teach classes without demoing so much by learning a little bit more of, I often just call it choreography or sequencing, but also how to talk to your students in a way that will help them rather than making them confused. So that's at ashesyoga.com. You can also learn more about me and find some awesome videos over there. And thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.